They said to me, "You're responsible for your own finances now." A week later, my sister was handed the keys to a two-bedroom condo with a lake view, complete with a ribbon tied on the door. No one checked if I could cover my rent. No one noticed when I faded away. For years later, my name appeared in Forbes and my research transformed the field. That's when my mother showed up, unannounced, grinning as if she belonged there. She claimed she was there to celebrate, but tucked in her purse was a document that chilled me to the core. I thought she sought forgiveness. She wanted something else, something valued, at exactly $1 million. My name is Linda Hayes. I grew up in a house that seemed ordinary from the outside. 2 stories, neat hedges, the kind of place where neighbors waved and called it a lovely family. Inside, though, it felt like I was a background character in a play centered on my sister, Sophie. My mother, Margaret, orchestrated our home like a stage director, with Sophie as the star. Every conversation revolved around her. Every picture on the mantel featured her front and center. If I appeared in one, it was by chance. Sophie shone brightly. She was the dancer, the cherished youngest, the one Mom called her miracle. When Sophie performed, Dad filmed it proudly. When I brought home perfect grades, he didn't glance up from his paper. Mom would say, "We don't boast in this house, Linda." Yet Sophie's praises were somehow exempt. At 16, Sophie got a car adorned with a red bow. I inherited her old bus pass and a lecture on gratitude. Dinners followed the same script, Dad discussing work, Mom lauding Sophie, while I cleared dishes, acting like it didn't sting. The scent of lemon dish soap became synonymous with being unseen. I told myself I was tough, that being overlooked made me self-reliant. But deep down, I knew it was a facade. When I got into college, I practiced asking for tuition help for days. I waited for Dad's calm moment, newspaper set aside, TV murmuring softly. "I'll need support for housing," I said cautiously. Mom didn't look up from her laundry. Dad mumbled, "You've got scholarships, don't you? You're 18. You'll figure it out." Those words cut deeper than they seemed. You're on your own financially. That night, I filled out loan applications under a faint desk lamp while Sophie slept soundly across the hall. I wasn't furious, just empty, as if a door had closed silently, leaving me outside. College was a whirlwind of labs, instant noodles, and part-time jobs. I sent brief texts home at first, hoping someone might ask how I was doing. They didn't. The family chat buzzed with Sophie's new outfits, vacations, and engagement to a guy with flawless hair. I learned to silence the notifications. When Dr. Elena Cruz chose me as her research assistant, I began to feel visible. She called me thorough, saying, "You don't just follow steps, you think." No one had ever said that to me. She introduced me to the lab's quiet rhythm, the hum of machines, the sharp scent of ethanol, the rush of a successful experiment. It was the first place that didn't ask me to dim my light. By graduation, I'd built a shield of composure. I stopped seeking approval or aid. I thought I was free until a photo shattered that belief. Sophie, holding a condo key, a lake sparkling behind her, captioned, "Happy 21st, my baby girl," with a red ribbon in the background, the same hue as the one on her car years before. That image hurt in a way anger never could. I didn't smash my phone or cry. I stared at that ribbon until my screen went dark. It was the same color tied to every celebration of Sophie, as if it was reserved for her triumphs. 2 bedrooms, granite counters, lake view. The post said it all. Not one message asked, "How's Linda doing?" I set my phone face down and returned to my notes on polymer dissolution, pretending nothing had changed. But something had, something permanent. After that, home became a concept I'd outgrown, not a place. My scholarship covered a basement apartment on campus, thin walls, creaking pipes, the lingering smell of ramen. I spent nights in the lab, chasing data instead of rest. Dr. Cruz would check on me, asking if I ever paused. I'd shrug, pauses cost too much. She'd smile, sensing the weight behind my words. The next semester, she called me into her office, books piled in cozy chaos, a half-drunk coffee by her laptop. "Linda," she said, "you're different now. Sharper, not in a bad way. I hope what you're chasing is for you, not against anyone else." I wanted to say it was both, but I just nodded. When Stanford offered me a fully funded PhD, I didn't tell my parents or Sophie. I packed my beat-up Honda with notebooks and wilting plants and drove to California. Somewhere on the highway, I stopped feeling like a daughter. I was something new. Stanford was another world. Worth wasn't tied to attention but to discovery. I fit into the late-night lab shifts, pipettes, playlists, fluorescent glow. Silence there meant focus, not neglect. Occasionally, the family chat would ping with holiday photos or Sophie's engagement ring, mom's captions gushing about my beautiful girls. I'd scroll through them like a stranger. Then a text came just for me. Heard you got your PhD. Congrats. Maybe you can help Sophie with her business idea. No question mark after congrats, just assumption. I deleted it and blocked the number. Years later, my work became a biotech startup, built on late nights and relentless belief. Mark Reynolds joined as a partner, smart, kind, steady. We created something meaningful. Investors called me Dr. Hayes, a name that once meant nothing in family chats, but now opened doors they'd never entered. Success crept in quietly, then surged, funding, headlines, an acquisition offer. That's when the noise returned. A friend texted, "Your mom posted about you." I checked Facebook after years away. There was Margaret Hayes, beaming next to Sophie. So proud of my daughters, one a businesswoman, the other a scientific pioneer. A mother's sacrifices paid off. Sacrifices lodged in my throat like a stone. I stared at the post until it blurred. It wasn't just false, it rewrote history, erasing years of silence with gratitude she never offered. I wanted to comment, to remind her we hadn't spoken in nearly a decade, but I realized the post wasn't for me. It was for her. So I did nothing, and that drove her mad. Weeks later, my assistant buzzed. "Linda, a woman's here, says she's family." My heart sharpened, but my voice stayed calm. "Send her in." Her perfume hit me first, vanilla and guilt overly sweet. She looked unchanged, perfect hair, pearls, confidence that owned the room. "Linda," she said, arms open like this was a warm reunion. I stood slowly. "Mom." She surveyed my office, glass walls, framed patents, the pulse of success. "So this is where the magic happens," she said. "You didn't tell us." Imagine my shock reading about my daughter in Forbes. I forced a smile. "You could have called." "I tried," she said airily. "You changed your number." I thought, she's busy. So I came to celebrate as family should. Her voice was syrupy, but her eyes scanned my desk, searching. I gestured to a chair. "Sit." She opened her purse with care, pulling out a folded paper. "I've been reflecting on all I've done for you. The sacrifices, raising you girls. It wasn't easy." A chill ran through me. "What do you mean?" She slid the paper across my desk, smiling. I looked down, typed lines itemizing private school, meals, emotional labor, totaling $1 million. It wasn't a prank. I met her gaze. "You're charging me $1 million for being my mother?" Her smile held, but her eyes turned cold. "For what I gave up, things you can't repay." My breath caught. "Family doesn't work like that." Her voice sharpened. "Family doesn't abandon the woman who gave them everything." I swallowed. "You chose to have me, Mom. Kids don't owe parents for existing." She faltered, then leaned closer. "Can't or won't. I could have had a career, a life, a husband who stayed. I gave it all to you." Her words echoed, but I stayed steady. I'd spent my life avoiding her anger. "That stopped now." "I'll cover your expenses," I said quietly, "but not this." Her face stiffened. "Then you're no daughter of mine." She stood, smoothed her jacket, and paused at the door. "Your father would be ashamed of you." When she left, the silence wasn't hollow, it was heavy, alive, final. I sat motionless, the ACs hummed like sterile peace. Then it hit, disbelief, a tremor, an ache older than me. I stared at the paper, $1 million, an invoice for motherhood. When tears came, they were quiet, like a decades-old leak finally breaking through. By morning, I was done crying. I entered the lab before dawn, face composed, hiding the wreckage. The machines hummed, reliable and steady. I started a new experiment, wrote precise notes, and told myself healing came through order and proof. Dr. Cruz found me later, coffee in hand. She saw the emptiness in my eyes. She came, didn't she? I didn't ask how she knew. She wants $1 million, I said. Dr. Cruz didn't blink. And you? What do you want? I paused. Peace. But it's not returnable. That night, in my office's bathroom, still in my champagne dress from a party, my hands shook so hard I could barely breathe. The mirror showed a calm stranger, a woman who saved lives breaking silently in her own success. I recalled every Sunday dinner where Mom said, "We do everything for you girls," every quiet car ride where I tried to believe her, every time I excused her cruelty as stress. Now I saw it clearly, not sacrifice, but control. She gave to possess. I texted Mark, "Don't come tonight. I need space." 2 days later, I met my lawyer, instructing him to set up a trust for Mom. Enough for basics, nothing more, with strict limits. "You're protecting her from herself," he said. I shook my head. "I'm protecting me." The calls began the next week. Angry at first, "You'll regret this, Linda." Then pleading, "I forgive you, sweetheart. Just send the money." Then threats. "Maybe the media should hear how ungrateful you are." I stopped responding. One night, Mark watched my phone light up repeatedly. "You don't have to read them," he said. "I'm not," I replied. "I just need to see how far she'll go." The messages eventually dwindled, fading into silence. One morning, there were no missed calls, no emails, just quiet. That quiet felt earned. A month later, Dr. Cruz called me into her office. "You're working like you're running from something," she said gently. "Is it done?" I nodded. "Almost." She handed me an envelope. "Take this weekend off. Go somewhere calm, not fueled by adrenaline." Inside was a ticket to a coastal retreat, trading lab hums for ocean waves. That night, by my office window, city lights glinted like stars. I thought of the woman who raised me, mistaking fear for love, guilt for loyalty. I thought of myself, finally free, breathing a life I owned. 3 months later, at the acquisition ceremony, our company valued at $80 million, I smiled for photos, shook hands, said the right words. No one saw the scar beneath, where I'd severed her hold. Outside, the Pacific wind felt cleansing. Mark handed me water, not champagne. "You okay?" he asked. "I am," I said and meant it. But peace, I learned, is fleeting. 8 years later, the company thrived. We built, healed, lived. Then one autumn morning in Seattle, I saw her on a curb outside a coffee shop, gray hair tangled, eyes faded but unmistakable. My breath stopped. The world hushed dangerously. I parked, bought 2 coffees, and sat beside her. She didn't recognize me at first, then whispered, "Linda," like a fragile question. We talked for an hour, half-truths, delicate fragments. She was ill, pride having taken what the world hadn't. I arranged help through the trust, not as a daughter, but as a human refusing cruelty. I didn't forgive her, but I stopped letting her define me. Driving away, the city felt softer, releasing me. I kept that meeting private, not telling Mark or Dr. Cruz. It wasn't a secret, it was closure. I didn't need to perform. The next week, a social worker said Mom accepted the help but refused me as her emergency contact. I nearly laughed. She still wanted the last word. I didn't fight it. She was safe, fed, housed. That was no longer my burden. Some nights, on my balcony overlooking the city, I realized peace doesn't shout. It hums quietly, like the lab machines that once anchored me. At Dr. Cruz's retirement dinner, she held my hands. "You've built what you once wished for. Rest in it." I promised to try. Mark and I grew our company steadily, creating scholarships for science-bound girls like my younger self. Each time one glowed over a discovery, I softened too. One morning, a letter came, my name in shaky handwriting. Inside, a single line, "Thank you for the coffee." No apology, no signature, but enough. That evening, I drove to the lake by our old neighborhood, its water still as dawn. I whispered a goodbye no one heard, letting it sink into the ripples. Freedom wasn't a triumph, it was calm. Love doesn't always mend. Sometimes it shows you who you are without it. Closure isn't a tearful hug or a tidy end. It's stopping the wait for an apology that won't come and living anyway. I don't hate my mother, nor do I love her. I wish her peace, far from mine. If you've rebuilt yourself from the silence your family left, know this. You don't owe anyone for surviving. You don't owe forgiveness to stay free. Share your story below. Someone needs it. If this resonated, stay.